Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guest is Chris Damato, the Assistant Director of the North Country Career Center. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Scott. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, this is your first time on the show. I know your boss, Gwen Bailey Rowe, has been on before, and I think she found it worthwhile.
There's a lot to talk about here at the Career Center. A lot of fun, and getting the message out of what's happening here and how we're impacting Northeast Kingdom is really important.
Yeah, I think the Career Center is a great thing. Like my boys, who are now 39, they're identical twins, and my daughter, who's 33, despite them having academic educations, they took part in various ways in the Career Center. And it's interesting, even though they're largely an academic type of world, they still fall back on what they learned in the Career Center.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 13 programs, and many of our programs are, like you said, people going straight to work, but there are many programs that we offer here that most of our graduates go to college. You know, our engineering program, our health sciences program, these are classes that these are programs that produce a lot of college graduates right here. They start here, they get college credit while in high school and dual enrollment credits, and they have wonderful opportunities once they complete their training here.
Yeah, no, it's been a great fallback. I know my daughter, she did computers. My sons did various woodworking projects, classes. And so while they might not the boys might not always use what they learned in the Career Center, it certainly has enhanced them, but it also has enhanced their ability to do things at home.
And so one of the things that we say here is we don't care if you ever turn a wrench when you leave here or become a nurse or do any of those things. What we produce, the most important thing that we produce at the Career Center is neighbors who know how to do things, neighbors who know how to show up for work, and neighbors who know how to do stuff. So that's what we do.
Yeah, so one thing I remember from when my kids were there, and as I said, they're in their 30s now, almost 40s, is it seemed like there was a disconnect between the academic wing of the school and then the Career Center. We actually had to fight a bit to get our children to be able to utilize the Career Center. It seemed like if they were on a career path, as an academic path, I should say, that's where they tried to keep them. Does that occur now, or is there more work in between?
Sure. So for years, excuse me, CTE, career and technology education, has had a stigma of it's for those kids. It's for kids who can't go to college or aren't going to go to college, and that are going to go straight to work. And that's been something that we've been working to fight against for years. There is more of an emphasis on our college. Each of the 13 programs in our center is required by federal law to offer college credit opportunities for our students. So there is a shift in CTE where academics are embedded into the curriculum, and our instructors are held at a very high level of accountability for a number of things, with the college credits, the literacy rates and math and math levels and science rates of our students. So we're held accountable to make sure that while they are with us in the Career Center, they are still advancing in those basic academic skills. So is there more work between the, is there more work between the high school and us? I think so. We still face some stigma around, it's, you're not going to college, you can go into the Career Center. But like I said, there's programs who produce graduates who don't go into the workforce, that go to places like Wentworth Institute, RIT, and all Vermont UVM Engineering School, and a whole host of other colleges. Same with our nursing program, and same with our computer networking program, where they're learning how to design games. And I was a kid who gave up on video games with Pac-Man. I'd get caught in the corner and the blue ghost would get me, and I just gave up on video games. But these kids are making video games that look like movies, and it's just fantastic work. It's really cool.
I know I've talked to an acquaintance of mine who I don't know if he's ever reached out to you. You ever heard the name Terry
No.
Lucas? Terry Lucas was a poor boy, a relatively poor boy, or working class family who went to North Country in the 1970s. And he'll tell you, he was the ultimate nerd. He was nerding out in the audio visual. But by the time he graduated, he was already running the big mainstream mainframe computers, including doing the school's billing. But he didn't have the money to go to school. So he went out into the world of computers, and the long story short, he bumped into another fledgling guy named Bill Gates. And he was one of the early people with Bill Gates, and he's a Newport native who lives over in the computer country out on the West Coast, but he lives part-time back here, and he is trying to instill, we've talked about him going in there and talking, because he never got a degree, and he went on to probably be able to own Newport. And but now he's really trying to help the people, the young people of the region, to help them believe in themselves.
Well,
and
we would love to have him here. So if you run into him, give him my name, and we'll make sure that gets set up.
Yeah, he's here in the summer, but and I also have a great nephew in your program, and he's not a young man who's going to go to college, but he will never be unemployed. He has a work ethic, and he has the ability. And I'm going to tell you, if he plays his cards right, he's going to make far more than most college graduates will. It's like if you talk to there's not many poor plumbers, and everybody needs a plumber, and there's a dire need. Do you have a plumbing program?
We don't. We have a in our not for high school kids. We have a HVAC and refrigeration class that we offer to adults, and that helps people learn how to install heat pumps and handle refrigerant. So not many industries can operate without refrigeration anymore. And so, like you said, you'll never be out of a job if you have those licenses.
Right. No, that's true. And so what else would you like to talk about? Oh, we watched a video before the show that you wanted to. So let's let it roll right now.
It's almost like playing on a playground. It's like an adrenaline rush. I think it'd be cool if I had this job. Tell family and friends. Yeah, I'd be climbing poles,
We're the only state in the union that's getting every address connected to fiber optic internet. But the biggest challenge to completing the physical build out of the network will be getting the workforce to do it.
We are at North Country Career Center's Harold Haynes Land Lab for broadband network construction technician training. This has been a 3-week training. This week is pole climbing.
For pole climbing, you've got to learn hands-on. That's the only way to do it. The basketball came out of, hey, let's do something to have fun. Plus it teaches them how to move in their belt and get into the right position. And that just gives them more confidence. I worked 20 years doing this type of work. I've been a teacher for the last 10 years. This is the industry standard for teaching them how to climb safely.
I have to do it to learn it. So it's like if I'm just like looking at the board all day, you know, reading stuff out of a book, I'm not really like retaining it very good.
Larry did a great job.
Getting out here and doing it, you know, I get it down very quickly.
Thinking I'm going to climb a 40-foot pole like that, I'm 54 years old. I'm a veteran, so maybe that's something that's in me, is just always wanting to challenge myself. To see people do it and be in awe, and then to be able to do it, that made me feel good.
The benefit of this training is you walk away with 3 industry recognized credentials. You'll get the OSHA 10 card, your flagging certificate so you can work on federal highways, and CPR and first aid AED. Put you in a really good spot for either any of the broadband CUDs or a contractor that is actually doing the network construction.
I think this is a great investment. You know, getting people to stay and do this job is going to be a huge plus for everybody. You know, this is a great job. Pays well, good benefits.
You could get high-paying jobs at the same rate as people that come out with a 4-year degree. You don't have college debt.
When the power goes out, the internet's going to go out too. So it's not just a job for right now. It can be a career.
We need a lot of workers to do this. It is a big opportunity, and we want to keep those opportunities local, because this is about building Vermont.
The piece I want the most is to be able to get a job that I can sit there in my area and say, you know what, I helped do that.
That was a really great piece. How did this all come about?
It's interesting. So my job as the assistant director puts me in charge of workforce development and workforce and personal development. What that means is we offer jobs that offer industry recognized credentials, IRCs, to adults to advance their employability or career. And we also offer classes like pottery and conversational French that enhance your personal life. Although the line in Vermont between hobbies and businesses is pretty thin. And as you can attest with your business, I'm sure, you know, right.
Right.
So, but this video and this program started with a conversation we had with Northeast Kingdom broadband, NEK broadband. There is an effort in Vermont, similar to back in the 50s, when they were trying to get every house in Vermont to have electricity. They are now trying to get every house in Vermont to have fiber optic internet, high-speed internet. And they're looking at this as an economic development opportunity, so that people like yourself don't need to move somewhere where there's high-speed internet. They can live in the mountaintops, and they can live in the valleys and way in the back of the hollow, and still have high-speed internet. So NEK Broadband called us and said, we are looking for a training opportunity right here in the Northeast Kingdom, so local people can train local for local jobs. And they have, so over the next 7 years, they have close to 3,000 miles of fiber to run in Vermont. And that's a lot of fiber. They need people to do it, and they want local people to take these jobs, so that when the construction of the network is complete, local people are here with the knowledge of how to maintain that network. We had a windstorm this weekend. There's drifting snow. I'm sure that there's some power outages somewhere. And when a tree falls on the power line, it often falls on the fiber optic cable. And somebody, hopefully one of our students, is going to be going out there and fixing that cable, fixing that fiber, and getting the internet back up for the people on the other side of that line. These jobs aren't going anywhere once the construction is done. People are out there all of the time maintaining. Trees fall everywhere, and things break. Even in the wind, they can come down. So once people are trained in this industry and employed, those jobs aren't going to go anywhere.
That looked like climbing the poles. That actually looked a little fun. I know we were talking beforehand, and the producer of the show, Todd Pronto, would probably sitting there shaking his head. No, that does not look like fun, but it did. Did you, since you spearhead some of this, did you happen to try climbing the pole to see what the students were?
I sure wanted to, but a couple weeks prior to the class starting, I fell and dislocated my shoulder. So I physically wasn't in a place to do that. I hope to do that this year, because that's what, we have 2 dates coming up. Two sessions already planned. And they are March 26th through April 11th. And that training is going to happen down in Barrie. And the other training is April 30th through May 17th. And that's going to happen right here in Newport. And so what happens during those 3 weeks, you're going to have 4 days of just communication, first aid, flagging, how to tie knots. Tying knots is really important when you're sending things up in the air. You don't want a knot to come undone and your bucket to drop on you, or all of that. So we spend time doing OSHA 10, CPR, basic rigging, leadership and communication skills, and then we go straight into bucket truck operations. And during the bucket truck operation, they're in the bucket. They're in the back of the bucket. They're getting used to, extending themselves out, where the tipping point is, what it feels like when you're reaching that alarm setting. Just getting comfortable with the heights and moving around. And then the following week is fiber splicing. Now, you and I see a black fiber about this big, going across the poles, but inside each of those fibers, there's 144 pieces of glass fiber, a little bit bigger than your hair. And we teach people how to take those ends and fuse them together so that light continuously goes through. So we have 3 days of fiber splicing, which you learn how to fuse the ends, but you also learn how to test the signal. So splicing and testing is a big part of this. And then we have another day of bucket truck operations, just to make sure that you're comfortable with those heights when you're not attached to the pole. And then we wrap up with 3 days of pole climbing. That is kind of the culmination. It's the most exciting part of the training, because it's out. You're outside, you're doing the work, it's physically involved. You saw in the video that everybody was not, how would you say, they're not athletes. They're not track stars. They're but they all spent time up in the air. And each of those 7 people that you saw in that training are employed in the industry at this point.
Tell me, do you also deal like when you're up on those poles, aren't you around electricity at the same time? or
Oh, that's a great
or
question.
are they
Yeah.
divided?
So high voltage power is at 25 feet, and fiber optic and communication wires are at 18 feet. So there's quite a bit of space in between. And though there are risks involved in this job, it's considerably less than when you're working as a lineman or a line service person who is taking care of the electricity. All that's going through that fiber optic cable is light. That's how it works. Well, that's a very basic explanation of how it works. I don't know exactly what is going on with that light, but there's not power, and the fiber that we're dealing with has nothing that is lethal, and the lethal amounts are considerably higher.
Okay. So it's amazing, but we're down to about a little under 10 minutes. If somebody wants to sign up in these classes, how do they go about it?
So we have North Country Career Center has a website. In that website, there's a whole section of adult offerings. And if I may, I'm going to plug some of the other adult offerings that we offer as well. In that website, you'll see sign up for a welding classes. We offer CDL. Licensed nursing assistants get trained with us as adults. We will be offering MNA for LNAs. And if you're an LNA, you know what an MNA is. It's a medical nursing assistant where they hand out medicine. We have conversational French is a popular class. We have a person who's going to be teaching professional writing. And there's other classes that are escaping me: CPR and first aid, BLS for healthcare employees, and all of that is available on the website.
It's great that it's good that you brought up that it's also the Career Center. I think some people think, well, that's for students, but it's also for graduates.
There's 17 career and tech ed centers across the state, and each one of us are required to offer classes for adults and community members. And we take great pride in providing these classes for our friends and neighbors, because it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to change lives. A lot of times, I'll just talk for LNA for a second. A lot of times, a mother will see their child go through the LNA program in high school and then want to do it herself. And now we have impacted an entire family just by providing the opportunity to get a license. And licenses in Vermont, jobs that require licenses in Vermont are the higher paying jobs that people want and need. And even so, our welding class is more of a hobby class right now. We might offer certification later on, but that skill as a hobby welder can get you employed in many manufacturers, both in Newport, St. Johnsbury, and any other part of the state.
I think as much as the Career Center has been promoted, I still think it's one of the best, I won't say unknown resources, but it's amazing how many people don't realize how much how much it has to offer, and how it offers across the entire spectrum of age. Now, this comes from a person who has absolutely no skills, even pounding a nail. If I were being a lineman, somehow I would hit one of the higher wires. As I tell people, when people tell me, "Wow, you're so smart," I says, "No, I write smart and I know smart people." And but no, I have found my niche. But the thing is, I've seen what the Career Center has done over the years for different people. And as I said, the Northeast Kingdom, Oh, you know, you can find jobs with college education, but they're really they're lacking and they don't pay that well. But you take a career center education for the right trades. Now that's where, you know,
Yeah.
there's good money in some
There
of
is.
those trades.
And I just wanted, I forgot to mention that in May into June, we're going to be offering a women only welding class. So it's going to be
Oh,
reserved.
really?
We partnered with Vermont Works for Women, and they're going to help us create a class where only women will be in the room. And this gives an opportunity for women particularly, to ask questions without any kind of ridicule or embarrassment, and in a supportive atmosphere of women. And it's you know, we've seen it in a couple different ways over the years, and it really is a powerful experience for those involved.
You know, when I was saying about experience, actually, my veteran, long time automotive technology person, my brother, who's been a mechanic now for going on 40 years, he got a lot of his start in the early days of the Career Center back 40 years ago, and he's
Yep.
still going strong at nearing
Right.
60.
And so cars have changed quite a bit, but when you still turn to the right to tighten it and the left to loosen it. So those things, I'm sure he's learned a lot over the years about.
Oh, yeah.
The basic skills is where you get started, and you can start right here. We do offer an intro to automotive for adults, as well as intro to small engines. I'm remembering other things.
Okay, well, we've
Yep.
got to wrap it up, and it was great having you on, and we'll have to have you back on when you have another program that you
Absolutely,
wanna
really
promote.
appreciate it, Scott. And if anybody is interested in teaching a class, whether it's you yourself, Scott, or anybody else, if you have a skill that you might want to share with somebody, please give me a call too, because we always are hiring new instructors, looking for new ideas.
Okay, thank you. And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.